Heroes and Legends, Dynasties, the Manica. Picking back off where we left off with the Manican forces and the Johnson, having conquered their respective galaxies. Sekinda and Brianna had reunited. The two were like long lost, separated sisters as they hugged each other cheerfully and gleefully. The two forces reunited and began to plot their plans to conquer the universe. But first, seeing that they were in a new environment and the Insuran powers were indeed real, they decided that they needed to unite all of the Insuran galaxy first before they make a play for uniting the universe under their banner. And so they set out to find where their old allies were that were scattered across the cosmos. In a distant galaxy not too far away, an unknown planet, the remnants of the United Insurance Commission, led by Chantal Wilson, who was a powerful sword wielder, and her friend Shanice, who was the warrior princess and also known to have her own camel cavalry, as she really loved camels, and the desert, were traveling on an unknown planet, being attacked by wild animals. Soon they got adapted to the environment and were able to slay the wild animals and create clothes of warmth and meat from their husk and be able to survive and save their camels and build a small little habitation for themselves and the camels to live. During the course of 100 years, however, they were encountered by unknown soldiers. They did not know which galaxy they were in. They did not know what was going on. However, they were found by the Providence Insuran, for they were in their galaxy. This new and upcoming Insuran power was led by the card fighting leader, Kristen, who had along with her was Forbes, who was the head strong commander, very stubborn and could not be reasoned with. Also, we had Milio, who was a giant with locks, who spotted the girls from a long distance as he saw smoke coming in and smelled the sweet savor of the meat that they were cooking. And seeing that they were outsiders from the dimensions, he attacked them suddenly. The girls stood no chance as his organized army had captured them, forcing them to join their side as they continued to solidify control of their galaxy. These former ladies of the Manican UDN were now under the provision of another Insuran power. Fast forwarding to now, they were being loyal officers of the Providence Insuran and loyal officers to Forbes, where Chantal Wilson and Charisse were mere officers in patrol. Suddenly, they were attacked by unknown assailants. Milio then ordered them to advance. And as they advanced, they were ambushed. And then the ambush cut away and created a barrier which cut their forces and separated them. Stunned, Forbes took to the battlefield himself. Milio then tried to reason with Forbes as he saw more traps coming. Forbes, being hardened as usual, did not listen to Milio and caught himself into a trap where he almost fell into a pit, a very deep pit, filled with poison spikes. He was stunned. Tricks and traps were all over the place. The small but crafty and elusive enemy was Kelvin. Who in the world was this? They had secured the entire galaxy. No one will oppose them like this. Certainly it had to be someone from the outside. Chantal Wilson, Hearing this, could only think of one person who would come up with shrewd and cruel tactics like this. Could it be Sekindo Johnson of the Johnson Insuran? She wondered, because she did not heard from the Johnson nor the Manican from all this long while, because they had survived the war and better yet conquered the Johnson galaxy, which they knew now existed. As the battle continued, they had a call for reinforcements from the main capital. This was exactly what they wanted. Soon, Kadon Johnson and C. Manican attacked the capital. Kristen was shocked. She tried to use her card play, but was no match for these two behemoths of warriors. Soon the capital had fallen, and the J.S. Johnson forces, along with the Manican overlords, had appeared. They were stunned. Word got out that the capital had fallen. Their galaxy was completely surrounded, and they had no idea. Chantel Wilson and Chaurice knew who they were. They were their allies. Brianna Manica had arrived. "You ladies okay? Sorry we're late." And Chaurice was like, "Better late than never. My camels were getting bored of being in servitude." And so the Providence Insuran had no choice but to surrender. With that, the Manican allowed Chantel Wilson and Chaurice of the United Insurance Commission to lead the New Providence galaxy in their stead. Now, with this galaxy properly secure, they now began their advance to conquer all of Insuran. The forces, as we said earlier, of the Colonial and the Nuwa and the Nabaka and the Atlan had little to no resistance, and they ruled their galaxies respectfully. Seeing that Lord Omri Manican had survived and thrived and conquered a galaxy, yet another galaxy, they decided to cut their losses and rejoin his forces in order to speedrun their control of the Insuran. Seeing the rapid rise of the Manican was up front for their pact and to their purpose in the universe, to keep the Manican forces in check. The once powerful and dominant Klinkalo was asleep since the Second Great War ended eons ago. Now, the Klinkalo Council, led by Leno Klinkalo, along with Asuma Anasia, a hero, Anastasia, the mastermind, and Lewis, the general, had mobilized the Klinkalo galaxy once more and chose Hara Klinkalo and his son Melkoro and Rishian to lead them. The Klinkalo vowed to completely eradicate and destroy the Manican Insuran once and for all. They cannot allow the evils to return and the sacrifice of their Klinkalo four founders to be in vain. That stopped and put down the Manicans, even so far as chasing them to hell, to ensure that their rule would be no more. And thus, they mobilized the entire force. Shanae Kelly of the Kelly family, a loyal family of the Klinkalo, Nashan, an Afro diva, who was a dark-skinned beauty and a powerful warrior, had come along with them to advance. The forces of the Manican, led by Clayton Insuran, Sherman Insuran, and Deshaun Manica, had advanced to deal with the General Lewis Klinkalo and the Kelly and Nashan. This was a fierce battle. It was a fierce battle. General Lewis was not playing around. Kelly was strong as ever, and LaShawn was putting in hard work as well. Deshaun used his might because he was no longer bored and pushed back these forces. Sherman also put his wits into action and maneuvered himself to get around General Lewis. Clayton called the shots from the background to ensure that Kinkolo could not win. Elsewhere, the Kinkolo did battle with the Manican again, this time against Sonia and Brianna, and they were led by the mastermind Anastasia of the Kinkolo and that of the great hero Anastasia. It was a tough and grueling battle. Sonia and Brianna knew they had no chance against the hero Anastasia, and Anastasia, the mastermind, wanted to play the the Manica women into their hands. However, Sonia wasn't about that life, and so her and Brianna played cat and mouse, ensuring that Kinkolo could not catch them. Anastasia was getting frustrated. The mannequin were not falling for traps and not being lured, and so Kinkolo had to give chase. Unfortunately for her, this is what Sonia wanted. Sonia then summoned reinforcements and ambushed the Kinkolo, which pinned them down. They did not want to be defeated, and so they retreated before they were slain. Elsewhere, the Kinkolo final clash with them was Omri himself, along with C, and Teshon Jr., and Teshon Manica, who wanted some more action. And so the head of the Kinkolo Council, Leno, and Haro, and his son, Melkoro, took to the battlefield. The leaders of these two great Insuran powers were about to duke it out once again, after so long. It was an epic battle. Omri used his new powers and skills to overwhelm the might of Melkoro. Teshon pushed back the Kinkolo troops, and C, with his powerful abilities, pushed back both Hera and Leno Kinkolo. With this, the Kinkolo also pushed back as well. Melkoro summoned his power to be a formidable foe, even to Omri's overwhelming newfound powers. This Orishan was indeed very strong. Elsewhere, Teshon was beating up the troops, and then he faced Hara as C and Leno were duking out more and more on a personal level. As the dust settled, however, reinforcements for the Manican were coming from other Insuran powers, and the Kinkolo were very much bested as they went it alone against the Manican forces, who at this point in time had many allies on their side, and so the Kinkolo decided to cut their losses and retreated. First, the Manican forces redeemed themselves from their embarrassing defeat against the Kinkolo and overcame their most powerful rivals. The forces of Fianna and Sona Manica sometime later would reach out to the old Banquet allies of the Central, led by Chris and Sandy Briggs and Sia Lukaya, who had joined the Central after the fall of her forces at the end of the war. She found refuge with them as they were all on the same side, and so she nursed under them. However, the Royals, fresh off their win, were going to invade the Central Banquet. The Manican forces not want their allies to be fallen to these invaders, send their forces and brilliance. Rihanna raced to the battlefield to prove just how strong she was. The world forces were being led by Gregor Finkel, who in turn was the wise cousin of Gordon Royal and his sister. He was no pushover and the leader of the powerful Finkel forces of the Royals. Along with him was Marcy, who was the Patel Bashar, who was one of the remnants of the once powerful Bildon Empire, along with Ronnie Royal, another giant, and Tonic, the tomboy and badass, and Maki of the Watermans, all came for an invasion. Brianna knew that the royals had powerful forces and officers on their side, and so they had to use tricks and traps and strategy to overcome this overwhelming might. And so the ladies devised a plan. Sandy Briggs, Sia Lucayo, Brianna, and Sonia Manica all devised to surround Gregor and use their feminine wiles to trip him up. The wise man did not want these women around him, and so he sent Marcy and Tony, the women, to deal with them, while these women were going after them. Chris then used his claw and powered it up and pushed back both Tony and Marcy, freeing the women to do what they wanted to do. When they surrounded Gregor, they flirted with him and did whatever necessary to get him tripped up. And then they left the enemy's main camp and went back to their positions. He was flustered. The female enemy officers came to him, flirted with him, and gone. He did not know what to do. The leadership of the royal army was completely confused. With their leader bamboozled, they did not receive any orders to do anything. And so the women then counterattacked and rushed the forces of the royals and Bildren and forced them to retreat, for saving the central Bankrun and having a good ally within the Bankrun galaxy space. Elsewhere, the Bath, Lowe, and Thompson rejoined the Manican forces and hold off the Oblong forces, who were advancing towards the Insuran galaxies to wage war. However, George Thompson enabled his strategy and battle in space to use the might of the Kichuru and the might of the Helton galaxies, now that Lowe was in charge. They used their powerful ships and resources and minerals to push back the Jedi forces using their cannons. The Jedi was stunned. The Oberon then arrived to try and attack from the back, but the Bath had been in the universe for quite a while in secret as they traveled and traversed between the galaxies and the dimensions long before the war concluded. And so George Thompson was well aware of the universe and may be the only person from the dimensions who had prior knowledge prior to its destruction. And so he used this to his advantage and planted bombs in a small asteroid field, bombarding the Oberon and the Oberon forces, preventing them to advance any further. Seeing that they was taking unnecessary losses without even making a dent in the enemy, the Oberon Jedi decided to turn back around and wait for another opportunity. And with this, the Bath, the Lowe, and the Thompson rejoined the Manican forces and impressed their overlords. Soon, Omri, Heron, and Dimitar, the leaders of the Manican, Nabaka, and Colonial respectively, came together to face the united Kinkalo and Guardian forces for control of all Insuran space. The Kinkalo were not done, as they refused to allow the Manicans to win, and so they allied themselves with Leonard Roberts, who was the king of the Guardians. And Leonard made a pact to destroy the demon Manicans once and for all. And so Leonard took his entire forces, his wife and queen, Beatrice Guardian, Prince Don John, their Grand General Sir Joseph, Tim, who was a powerful Green Kichura warrior, and Lufa, who was a giant man and a descendant of the race that once served under the legendary Queen Alexa of old, and a host of other forces. Together, They were a mighty force to reckon with. However, Huron, along with his forces, were very excited to finally be fighting once more because they knew that they were going to be able to have some fun. Ace Nabaka was very excited, but he was a person who loved war and battle. Penka, who was a proud warrior and a comrade of the Nabaka as well, had joined the battle. The son of Huron Nabaka, Charlton, was now going to face his first battle. Their allies, Pamela Nu of the Manican Insuran, who was at odds with the Nuwan's rich found Insuran history, knew that if the King Carlo and Guardian would won, it would spell doom for the Nuwa and their allies. And so she joined the battle, begrudgingly working with Omri once more to push back this massive alliance. The colonial then sent their best troops. Baba Charlene, the wife of Demeter, along with Demeter's brother Julian Chi, his powerful kung fu master, and Jeff, one of his proud warriors, the original colonial forces, along with the allies Angie, Cigi, and West of the Atlan, who were close allies with the colonial. Two massive sides of the Insuran forces duked it out. It was a magnificent and most powerful indeed encounter and clash. Omri used his newfound strength and summoned the courage to defeat Prince Don John and the royal family of the Ghanaians. Demeter then transformed into a prime and beat back Melko Ro, the Orician, and Huron and his forces beat back the remaining of the King Carlo leadership. Thus, the Guardian and King Carlo were soundly defeated, and all of the insurance spaces were at last united under the Manican banner. With this, and inroads within Bankaran and control of all Kichuru and Hethon space, the Manican forces were on their way to glory. But, however, Omri was not finished. He wanted to restore the power he had in the dimensions, not being satisfied by just controlling all of Insuran and some of their allies. He was the head of the UDN, the United Dimensional Nations, as he wanted to be its head. For the UDN was a perfect body organization, worthy to be led by him, a perfect embodiment of the vision Omri had. And even all these years later, he still had that ambition. However, the UDN, who reluctantly stayed on a planet far on the other side of the universe, well prepared themselves for Omri, as they refused to be under his rule again. And so, the final battle for Omri and control of the entire universe was with the UDN, their supreme leader, Kibano, head of the Baja, and the late daughter of Kiban, the powerful ruler of the UDN, along with Imisu, her closest lieutenant, and other powerful newcomers to Baja, Hanzo, Mata, Rex, and Roka. Along with her was a new and powerful second command of a new and powerful country that had risen up. He was known as the Iron Chancellor Dietrich, and he was a no-nonsense and stern man, a man with ambition, and a loyalist to the Union cause. Nothing was more important than preserving the Union's independence and their best interests, no matter what means he had to take, whether good, bad, or great. He refused to allow the insurance to take the UDN. So he had with him his forces, Laverne, his right hand, Ross, his Grand General, Timor, a young minister, Randall, a giant, and also a new country that the Iron Chancellor had created, known as a tech state, thus led by a man named PM Vega and Angelo. So their forces were being attacked by the Insuran forces. The Insuran gave it all they had against the Baja and the Iron Chancellor's forces of La Passerie. That was the name of his country. Along with Omri was the entire original forces of the Manican and Johnson forces, but were poised to take over. Sekindo let loose her berserker son against the battlefields of the UDN. The UDN had to use the artillery to get by Kadon, but Kadon's giant iron whip was no match for foolishness, and he easily bombarded and destroyed their tanks and artillery. Dietrich was shocked. How could one man be this strong? He had greatly underestimated the Insuran. And then Ibana told Dietrich to fall back and regroup. I tightened their defenses, but they were in for a long haul. Sonia knew very well what Kibana was doing. They wanted to prolong the war, and seeing that they were in their home turf, they had the advantage, and it would take a very long while for the Insuran to resupply, and so they must end this battle quickly. Brianna, who once destroyed and defeated Kibana in the past and got the UDN under the Manican, was determined to do it again. This time, her brother was watching, and so she told her brother to stay back in the main camp, for she would be able to handle this. And so she once again raced to fight Kibana. Kibana this time was much stronger than before, as she was training for this very moment. I will defeat you, Brianna. This time I'll take your head. I'll not surrender to you again. And so Brianna was eager for a great fight. The two women duke it out. Their blades clash, and their sword play forced them into the air, into buildings, running on the side of buildings, blasting each other with blasts and the works. Sooner or later, the forces of the UDN rallied themselves behind their lady as they saw her fighting. Omri then raised his sword and told his men to fight with valor as well. And so the forces of the Manican, Teshon and C, and Kadon, the monsters of both Insuran, rallied themselves and their troops, and they went berserk on the battlefield. It was a hot mess. While the two forces clashed, Brianna and Kibana fought hard once more. Soon, however, Imisu tried to interfere, but Brianna saw him and went to attack him. This allowed Kibana to have an opening. Ben Sakano saw it and saved a friend by firing a shot at Kibana, which Kibana then dodged, which allowed Brianna to strike down Imi and then turn around mid-air to strike down Kibana as well. The two UDN Baja forces fell hard on the ground, completely knocked out. Brianna landed on all fours and got back up, raised her sword in the air, and declared victory over the UDN once again. Seeing that, the Iron Chancellor knew that he had to give up, and so not wanting the UDN to be completely wiped out, he told his forces to stand down, and reluctantly and grudgingly, he ordered their surrender. Once again, the UDN had fallen to the Manicans. It seemed hopeless. You are destined to fall under the Manican rule. You just had to accept it, said Omri. Some time had passed. At the end of the wars, with a newfound strength, all the remaining forces joined the Manican UDN, and all nations and kingdoms and galaxies were united under the new UDN under the Manican forces. And with that, no one dared to challenge Omri, for they stood no chance. And Omri looked up in the heavens at his newfound castle and declared himself ruler. And he vowed to bring a new dawn, a dawn of a new age, in which peace would be everlasting, and no one would ever dare to rise up again to war with the UDN and the Insuran Manican.